Dragonmaids do take my heart. Hey everybody, it's Bulbe. Welcome back to my channel. So this is part 2 of my remote duel experience for the Win a PS5 tournament. So this is round 2 where I go up against Harpies ladies. So let's get right into the duel. So straight off the bat, I was able to go first because I won the dice roll. Also, if you like these videos, be sure to like and subscribe. So I start by normal summoning a Dragonmaid chamber. And using her effect, I search for hospitality. Activate hospitality, which allows me to special summon a second chamber from my hand. Then I link the two of them into heretics and pass there. So then my opponent normal summons Harpy Perfumer and activates her effect. So I ash that so he can't search. And he passes. So then I just set one and pass. So then he activates Harpy's Hunting Ground, which is when you summon a Harpy monster, you get to pop one spell or trap card on the field, and it's mandatory as well. So then he goes to normal summon Chandler and targets my back row to pop it. I chain heretics here to attribute itself to add back Harpy's Hunting Ground, which I think there was a bit of a misplay here, because if Harpy's Hunting Ground isn't on the field, then it doesn't resolve, and my back row shouldn't be popped, but I let my back row be popped for some strange reason. So then I resolve heretics to special summon out Nurse Dragonmaid, use her effect to Monster Reborn back chamber, and then activate Chamber's effect, searching for tidying and adding it to my hand. Then he uses the effect of Chandler's to special summon a Harpy monster from his deck in defense. So he summons another Perfumer and uses her effect to add a Harpy spell or trap. So then he adds Elegant Egotist on that and activates Elegant Egotist. So Elegant Egotist allows you to special summon a Harpies from deck. So on his last summon, the Harpy monster, I Nibiru him. So he sets one and passes there. Then I draw for turn and I activate Dragonmaid Hospitality, bringing back Nurse, sending Ernest. Then activate Nurse's effect to bring back Chamber. Then Chamber's effect. Add Changer to my hand. Then I banish Tidying from my grave to special summon Chamber and link 2 Dragonmaids into Heretic. And then I go battle phase, add Chamber back to my hand to bring out Dragonmaid Ernest. The token was at 5,000 defense, so I couldn't attack over it with Ernest. So then in main phase 2, I activate Dragonmaid Changeover to use Chamber and Ernest to special summon out Dragonmaid Trio. And then I set one and pass. So he draws for turn. So he enters standby phase and scoops. On to game 2, and he goes first because he lost the last round. So then he activates Pot of Desires, and luckily I have an Ash in hand. But very luckily for him, he has a Call by the Grave in hand. So then he normal summons Chandler, activates her effect, discard Queen as cost, and summons Harpist off of Chandler. Then he activates Elegant Egotist to special summon a Harpies monster. So then he synchro summons the 2 Harpies monsters into Cyber Slash. And then he sets one and uses end phase of Harpist to add a Vanilla Harpy to hand and passes. In my standby phase, he activates Trap Trick to banish Featherstorm to set Featherstorm. So he can use that card to add Harpy's Feather Duster back to hand, or to his hand. So I activate Extrav and I'm able to draw 2 cards. So then I set 1 and set 2 and pass. So then he goes straight to battle phase and attacks for 1/6 and 2/9, and there's nothing I can do about that. So then he passes back to me, and in my draw phase I pull Nothing useful, and scoop game 2, going to game 3. Into game 3, I'm able to go first because I lost the last round, which is ideal for me. So then I normal summon Chamber, search Tidying, and then link Chamber into Pisty. World Legacy Guard Dragon, bring back Chamber, turn Pisty and Chamber into Heretics, then set 1 and pass. So he discards Harpy Queen from hand to search the field spell, Harpy's Hunting Ground. Then he activates Pot of Desires. Desires is okay because I don't have an Ash in hand. So then he activates Harpy's Hunting Ground. So on his normal summon, he uses Harpy's Hunting Ground to pop my set. So I chain Heretics to pop Hunting Ground, and he chains Featherstorm from hand to negate that. Then he activates the effect of Chandler to special summon Harpy Perfumer to the field. So then he uses Hunting Ground to pop my World Legacy Guard Dragon. And then he uses the effect of Perfumer on summon, searching Elegant Egotist. He then activates Elegant Egotist. Because Hunting Ground is mandatory, it pops itself there. So then he goes into battle phase and attacks for 1/7 and 1/6, so 3/3 in total. And then he overlays into Baguska. Pass his turn to me. So then I normal summon Dragonmaid Nurse, then activate Tidying Engrave to banish itself to special summon Chamber. And then I link off Nurse and Chamber into Spheres, and then I set 1 and I pass. In his standby phase, he detaches 1 from Baguska, and I chain or activate Spheres here to tribute itself as cost and send Baguska back to the extra deck. On resolution, I special summon Chamber, use Chamber effect to search for Changeover. So then he uses the effect of Chandler, and I chain Tidying to that to send his monster back to his hand, and my Chamber comes back to my hand, but his effect still goes through. So he can still special summon his monster from the deck. So he summons Harpist and then activates Pot of Desires. I don't have an Ash here or anything to stop the Pot of Desires, so I let that go through, and then he passes. Normal summon Chamber and search for Dragonmaid Hospitality, and I banish Dragonmaid Tidying to special summon Nurse, then use Nurse's effect to special summon back another Chamber. Then I use Dragonmaid Hospitality to special summon Parlor from my hand, and then send Lore Power from my deck to the grave. And then I link those 4 monsters into Boral Sword. Then I activate Changeover, discarding the 2 Dragonmaid monsters in my hand to fusion summon for House. So I go into battle phase, I attack with Boral Sword, attack with House, use Boral Sword's effect, turn House into defense position, and attack with Boral Sword again. So he's still on like very little life points at this stage, but he is still alive. Then he draws for turn and scoops. And that's how I won against Harpies.